afternoon, everyone. We're going to wait a few more minutes to get this meeting started. We should begin in about 5 minutes. Thank you for your patience, everyone. We'll begin this meeting shortly. We're just waiting for any last minute people that would want to join. We will begin the meeting shortly in 2 minutes.
Oh shit, where'd it go? Ah.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of myself, Randy Shields, the District Design Engineer, John DeWitt, the Director of Transportation Planning and Development, and Becky Perkins, the Environmental Specialist of TxDOT's San Angelo District, we welcome you to the virtual public meeting for the US 67, US 87 Relief Route Study in San Angelo, Texas. I would also like to introduce Commissioner Rick Bacon from the Tom Green County Precinct 3. This meeting is being hosted by the Texas Department of Transportation. This is the third public meeting held for this project. The public will be able to access the slide presentation and provide comments through February 5th, 2021.
That transmission is more.
Please take a moment to type your name in the chat box. Also, after the presentation, please make sure you have signed in on the meeting website's landing page at sanangeloreliefroute.transportationplanroom.com. Please ensure your phone and computer microphones are muted. To minimize background noise, please periodically check your devices to ensure they remain muted. After the presentation, attendees can unmute their devices for a question and answer session, and the study team will also review the chat box to address your comments and questions. To share a comment or ask a question, you may add it to the chat box on the right side of the screen. The presentation will include both audio and visual components and will be in English. The meeting will be recorded and available online for the public to view through Friday, February 5th, 2021. Project materials are posted at sanangeloreliefroute.transportationplanroom.com for public viewing. All comments must be received on or before Friday, February 5th, 2021. Written comments from the public regarding the study are requested and may be submitted by email to randy.shields@txdot.gov, or you can mail them to the Texas Department of Transportation, care of Randy Shields, PE, 4502 Knickerbocker Road, San Angelo, Texas, 76904. An online comment form and a printable version are available at www.txdot.gov or at sanangeloreliefroute.transportationplanroom.com. An interactive map of the preferred concept for you to make comments in is also available at sanangeloreliefroute.transportationplanroom.com. In addition, you may call 325-947-9202 to leave a message and ask questions about the project and access project materials at any time during the study process. This slide shows the website, San Angelo Relief Route, transportationplanroom.com, where you will be able to sign in, locate the interactive map, and submit a comment. We will now present the pre-recorded video presentation.
Hi, I'm Brenda Gunter, the Mayor of the City of San Angelo, and I'm here today to welcome you to the opportunity that you will have to offer us comments, suggestions, and ideas as it relates to the last chapter, the final segment of the reliever routes. The reliever routes are an important part of us transitioning from our two-lane divided highways into a potential interstate concept, whether it is the Ports to Plains, I-27, or I-14. What's important to me is that we support the concepts behind reliever routes because transportation is what we need, great transportation options in order to grow the economic base here in San Angelo and in our surrounding communities. We believe interstate quality highways are safer. They provide a greater gateway into the city, and this one will as it connects 277 and 67. So with that said, I'm here to say thank you for participating. Thank you for being a part of this great opportunity. And please stick with us, stay with us, and let's get this interstate highway started.
Hello, I'm Randy Shields, the District Design Engineer for the Texas Department of Transportation San Angelo District. I would like to welcome you and thank you for participating in this virtual public meeting for the US 67, US 87 Relief Route Study in San Angelo. This is the third public meeting held for this project. The pre-recorded virtual meeting presentation will be available from Wednesday, January 20th of 2021 until Friday, February 5th, 2021. Additionally, TxDOT will host a live virtual public meeting on Thursday, January 21st, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. to present the same recorded presentation with a 30-minute question and answer session since no in-person meeting will be held. During this virtual meeting, you may pause the presentation and navigate forward or backwards using your video player. The purpose of this public meeting is to present the preferred concept and to gather input from the public. This concept has developed over the course of this feasibility study and has been chosen as the preferred concept from the original 8 preliminary concepts. This project is needed to provide an alternative route to the existing US 67, US 87 to allow through and freight traffic to be routed around downtown San Angelo, to relieve congestion, enhance mobility, and provide safer driving conditions. As Mayor Gunter mentioned, this project lies within the designated Ports to Plains corridor, which was the focus of a separate statewide study. The Ports to Plains Advisory Committee recommended a relief route around San Angelo for the future I-27 corridor. The northern relief route may serve as that future I-27 corridor as determined through additional environmental studies. You are encouraged to submit comments on the proposed project after reviewing the meeting materials and listening to the presentation. Instructions on how to submit comments are detailed near the conclusion of this presentation. Upon the completion of the comment period, our team will review the public input and work to complete the feasibility study for this project. We intend to present the recommended concept to the San Angelo Metropolitan Planning Organization in the spring of 2021. It is important to note that this is only the completion of the feasibility stage. The next step for this project would be a schematic design phase, which would provide a more detailed study of the actual alignment of the relief route. Statewide funding for project development will determine when we can commence to this phase. We do not currently have a start date for the schematic design. I want to thank you again for your participation, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome to the virtual public meeting for the US 67, US 87 Relief Route Study in San Angelo, Texas. This meeting is being hosted by the Texas Department of Transportation. This is the third public meeting held for the project. The public will be able to access this slide presentation and provide comments through February 5th, 2021. This slide presents the process used for the US 67, US 87 Relief Route Study. Following the public comment period for the second public meeting that was held for this project on June 18, 2020, the TxDOT team conducted traffic analysis and applied the Phase 2 screening matrix to determine the preferred concept. The purpose of today's public meeting is to present the preferred concept and gather input from the public. At the first public meeting on the project on November 12, 2019, TxDOT presented the purpose of the study, goals of the study area, as well as the constraints map and existing conditions, traffic data and transportation needs, and asked for the public's input. A total of 35 participants attended the meeting. Attendees were asked to rank goals for the project, as well as to provide feedback about issues and concerns that existed within the proposed study area. Some of the public's comments included impacting the least amount of property owners and making sure a safe alternative was provided. Following the first public meeting, TxDOT reviewed the public comments and developed preliminary concepts. The summary of the meeting can be found on the TxDOT.gov website. TxDOT held a second public meeting on the project on June 18, 2020. The meeting was held virtually due to no in-person meetings as a result of social distancing restrictions from the COVID-19 pandemic. The recorded presentation from the meeting was available for a 15-day comment period. At this meeting, TxDOT presented the preliminary concepts and asked for public input. A total of 282 distinct visitors viewed the virtual public meeting site, and 43 logged their attendance via the sign-in form. The comment form provided an opportunity for written comments and for a preliminary concept preference to be provided. Some of the public's comments included support for the preliminary concepts with few impacts, concern with impacts to current and future agricultural operations, and suggesting potential modifications to existing preliminary concepts. Following that second public meeting, TxDOT reviewed the public comments and identified a preferred concept being presented at this public meeting today. The summary of the second public meeting can be found on the TxDOT.gov website. An alternative route to existing US 67, US 87 through the city of San Angelo and Tom Green County has been planned and constructed in phases. The purpose of the alternative connection between existing US 67 and US 87 is to reduce congestion, enhance mobility, and improve safety through the city of San Angelo and Tom Green County. The project is needed to provide an alternative route to the existing US 67, US 87 due to congestion, mobility, and safety issues associated with traffic, including local, through, and freight being routed through downtown San Angelo. The Ports to Plains Corridor Advisory Committee recommended a relief route around San Angelo for the future I-27 corridor in their Ports to Plains feasibility study. This US 67, US 87 relief route may serve as that future I-27 corridor as determined through additional environmental studies.
The TxDOT team developed year 2050 average daily traffic forecasts for the US 67, US 87 relief route under the no-build and build conditions. The no-build condition assumes the US 67, US 87 relief route is not constructed, but all other planned and programmed projects in the San Angelo Metropolitan Planning Organization Long-Range Plan and Transportation Improvement Program are constructed. The build condition assumes the US 67, US 87 relief route is constructed along with the planned and programmed projects. The traffic forecasts include statewide traffic diversion effects of the proposed interstate highway upgrade to the Ports to Plains corridor. The Ports to Plains corridor proposes to traverse San Angelo from US 87 towards Sterling City on the north to US 277 towards Sonora on the south. This map illustrates year 2019 daily traffic and year 2050 daily traffic under both the no-build and build conditions. Under year 2050 build condition, the US 67, US 87 relief route is expected to attract between 15,400 and 16,100 vehicles per day along its length. The US 67, US 87 relief route helps channel long-distance traffic not destined for San Angelo to the east of the city using Loop 306. Thus, increases in traffic are evident along US 67 east of Loop 306, the east leg of Loop 306 from US 67 to US 87, and the south leg of Loop 306 that overlaps US 87 to US 277. A key benefit of the relief route is traffic relief to US 87 north of US 67 and among the 3 alternate routes where US 87 meets US 67, particularly for long-distance heavy truck trips.
The proposed ultimate US 67, US 87 relief route includes 6 lanes, 3 in each direction. It would include 2-lane, one-way frontage roads on both the westbound and eastbound sides. Due to funding constraints, the project will be constructed in various interim phases before the ultimate section is completed. This slide shows the 8 preliminary concepts. The stars represent potential grade-separated interchanges with the letters denoting the segmentation limits. The concepts represent general alignments that were presented at the June 18th meeting for public comment. This slide shows the Phase 1 evaluation matrix that was shown at the June 18th meeting. This matrix was used to evaluate the concepts initially. Stakeholder feedback was received at the meeting and is shown in the Phase 2 evaluation matrix. All of the preliminary concepts have safety and mobility benefits. Additionally, environmental constraints were comparable for each preliminary concept. In addition, the public did not express a preference for any one preliminary concept during public comment from the June 18th meeting. Therefore, TxDOT carried all 8 concepts forward to the Phase 2 screening matrix. This slide shows the safety and mobility in the Phase 2 evaluation matrix that was used to evaluate and compare each preliminary concept. All the concepts provide improvements to safety and mobility. Each concept improves access of emergency services, improves access of motorists to emergency services, and reduces the number of crashes per year. The concepts have similar travel time savings, have highway compatibility, and reduce the oversized truck traffic through downtown San Angelo. This slide shows the cost and environmental criteria in the Phase 2 evaluation matrix that was used to evaluate and compare each preliminary concept. The green and brown concepts impacted the greatest number of parcels, while the maroon and pink concepts impacted the least number of parcels. The green, brown, and purple concepts are the most expensive concepts to construct, while the maroon concept is the least expensive. The green, orange, and yellow concepts impact the most residences and businesses, while the purple, pink, blue, and maroon concepts impact the least. After applying the Phase 2 screening matrix to the advancing concepts, TxDOT decided to choose preliminary concept 8, maroon, as a preferred concept. TxDOT determined that this concept best met the project purpose and need, the Phase 1 and 2 screening criteria, and was the most technically preferred concept. The concept 8 maroon would have the lowest right-of-way and construction cost, is among the shortest distance of the concepts, has the second lowest impacts to parks of the concepts, and potentially only impacts one business.
The public may comment through the following ways: provide input on the preferred concept on the interactive map on the project website, fill out a comment form and submit it online or send it to the address shown, call the phone number shown, or email Randy Shields, the TxDOT San Angelo District Design Engineer, at the email shown. The comment form and project information can be found at the website listed on this slide. When you enter the website, you will be able to sign in, locate the interactive map, access project information, and submit a comment as shown on this slide. Following the comment period for this public meeting, which ends on February 5th, 2021, TxDOT will evaluate comments received during the public meeting comment period, complete the technical reports including purpose and need, concept evaluation analysis, and the forecasted traffic report, and prepare the feasibility study. TxDOT will then present the recommended concept for the US 67, US 87 relief route to the San Angelo Metropolitan Planning Organization in late spring 2021. This concludes our public meeting presentation.
We will now begin the question and answer session. Attendees can unmute their devices for this question and answer session, and the study team will also review the chat box to address your comments and questions. To share a comment or to ask a question, you may add it to the chat box on the right side of the screen. Please keep your devices muted when not speaking. Wendy, do we have any questions in the chat box?
No, we don't.
Randy,
Yes.
we can't chat. It's not letting us. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. If you're not able to chat, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Not sure why the chat's not working, but yeah, feel free to just unmute yourself and chime in.
Oh, eek. Okay. So 87 and 67, give me a landmark. It is Laura. Thank you, John.
Hello, Laura. How are you? I'm sorry.
Hey, would it help for us to pull up the map?
Yes,
Guys can talk
let's
from
turn it
that.
over to John and he can get the.
Sorry, guys. I don't mean to.
That's okay.
Okay.
No, thank you for joining us, Laura. Stephanie said I told her she got comp time tonight for helping you.
I know. I was like, I was asking you, and Stephanie was answering. It was weird. Okay, so okay, let's talk about landmarks for people who aren't engineers.
Okay. So if we can zoom in a little bit on this, that would be helpful. Okay, so over here, kind of on the far left side of the screen, you can kind of see where North Grape Creek Road comes in, and I don't have control over the mouse, but North Grape Creek Road hits up with US 87. This falls just north of that.
Okay, I need another landmark. So are we near Howard College, or are we?
That's the other end of the line.
Howard College is on the other side. Yeah.
Okay, so can you give me a landmark? I'm so sorry.
Hey, Laura, this is Rick Bacon. Okay, it's over there. US 87 and Grape Creek Road is over where it used to be the old NOV. It's Dragon Energy. You familiar with that? Where the big tanks are on the north side of town as you're heading towards Sterling City?
There's another tank facility, right? So there's two, Rick. I'm sorry.
Okay, the Dragon Energy is the one when you're heading out towards Grape Creek. It's going to be on the right-hand side, outside of town.
Just outside of town, right?
Okay, past 2105 as you're heading north.
I got you.
That help? Gotcha.
Right.
Thanks, Rick.
Sorry, no, that's okay.
Sorry, guys. I drive that way all the time. I just don't pay attention to the exact junctions.
So, Laura, if you're coming from the other end of it, connection to 277, and we're steering over there right now, is where you're at there, right? That's north of our current construction project, starting at the interchange of 277 and 67, Houston Hart. Gotcha. And then down into the Howard College area that's currently under construction.
Ah, okay. That helped. That helped. Sorry, guys.
Don't apologize. That's what we're here to do.
Randy, we do have a question in the chat too, about when affected landowners would be notified.
A little bit about what this feasibility study represents.
Yeah, you're on now.
The feasibility study gives us, and Wendy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think our corridor width, the marine corridor is shown here is 1,000 foot wide, right?
Correct.
It does not even begin to set the footprint for the eventual facility, other than it gives us 1,000 foot corridor that we expect it will lie in. And so that brings up the question of what's the next step in project development? That would be to develop a schematic that would determine the geometry for this facility and give us the eventual footprint, and therefore enable us to determine right-of-way needs. So then the next question, filling in some blanks here that I expect this discussion may trigger, is what's the time frame for that? And the answer to that is, at this point, it's indeterminate. In our planning system and the fiscal support that goes along with it, we have to clear some other thresholds to get us to the level of authority that allows us to develop that schematic. And we do not have that yet. It's contingent on a number of things, statewide priorities, and honestly, priorities sorted out among other ways by eventual cost. But we have some things going for us here, and Rick, you can chime in, or Maura, I don't know if Mayor Gunter's on, but you've heard, I think, especially Mayor Gunter, throughout the whole Ports to Plains, the statewide study talked about, that's a chip we have on this. It's a connection in the Ports to Plains corridor. There's a potential for future interstate designation. All those things will come into play and eventually gets to the point where we can advance project development on it. Having said all that, I can't tell you if that's going to be next year or a number of years from now. So stay tuned to the whole dialogue regarding Ports to Plains. Stay in contact with us, pay attention to MPO meetings and agendas as they're published. There's information discussed as things progress and as strategies come together that will help you follow that subject. But as of today, will be parked at this level for a while. Does that help?
Additionally, and I don't know if this is important or not, but we will contact the affected landowners during the schematic development process. So once we get there, we have a more defined level of what landowners will be affected. That's when we would, early in that schematic process, as much as possible, be talking with affected landowners about potential right-of-way acquisition. And it would be not just a one and done, a multiple, meetings kind of deal.
Yeah, so that's key as well. That will trigger another round of public involvement that will help us get down to that layer or that level of detail. And so it will be, you'll know when it's happening and when this process spins up. Whether you're along the corridor and directly affected by it, or if you have any interest in this, it'd be well publicized, and rest assured you'll be aware that we're about to begin plan development at that level. And you'll have a chance to comment and have input and influence the eventual shape of this.
I see another question has just popped up. Although the recommended route is the one shown, is there a possibility that could change? So there's always a possibility that it could change. This is a 1,000 foot wide corridor. So what is being represented within this 1,000 foot would actually narrow down to something closer to 300 feet wide. But we work really hard, and what the purpose of this part of the study was to narrow it down. So it most likely will not change from outside of this corridor. We're going to continue to be monitoring this chat box, but in the meantime, I'm going to turn this over to John. He's going to kind of walk through the different ways that you can access this this information from the website. So, but we'll continue to monitor the chat and come back and answer more questions as necessary.
Sure, thanks. So I'm showing on the screen right now the public meeting web page, and as you come to the page, you'll be able to see pretty quickly some of the information. The welcome begin here is where you can go in and sign in and show that you're participating. It also has some additional information. Video presentation that you saw tonight will be under the video presentation. We're in the live event now. There's some study background information, and we'll review these here in a second. We'll walk through each of these pages. Some additional exhibits and materials, preferred concept, which has the maps and the link to the interactive map, and then ways to submit a comment. Go ahead and start the video presentation. Again, you'll find on this page the video that we watched this evening, as well as a PDF version and one with the transcript. You're able to click on any of these links to either bring up the presentation into another window to download and save, or to view at your convenience. Moving on to the next page, this is the information for the live event, and when we have the recording for this meeting, which we're recording tonight, it will also be added to this page. I'm going to pause there. It looks like we have another comment that came in.
So the comment is, why wasn't FM 2105 considered as being a more reasonable or more feasible route since a highway is already there?
So Wendy, if you could take us back to the slide, I think for the second decision matrix, there's some information on that embedded in there, but two major overarching factors. One, the number of displacements coming down an existing facility like FM 2105 would cause. Second was floodplain sensitivity. Try to get my bearings on the slide again.
We can have Rusty chime in as well,
Yeah.
since he's the one that actually did the evaluation matrix if he's on, or Michael Pinnick if he's on.
I'm sorry, what's the question?
The question is, why wasn't 2105 considered as a more feasible route since a highway is already there?
Yeah, we did look at 2105 in terms of a widening, and especially on the west side, there's quite a bit of development and a large number of parcels over there. So that is an alternative that we did look at, but just due to all the impacts, the other alternatives carried forward.
All right,
Why not connect at 277?
We do connect at 277. As a matter of fact, that is consistent with the intent of the Ports to Plains Corridor designation. But I think if I may ask for clarification on the question, I think that it implies and notes that the alignment we're showing here goes on and terminates at US 67. And to talk about that particular segment for a minute, that was a matter of convenience for us as part of this feasibility study at this point, and it may become necessary to consider it particular segment more critically at some point in the future. But sitting here in January 2021, I would think we'd place a priority on building out the segments that are on the Ports to Plains corridor, which intersects at 277, comes down to Houston Hart, and then down the stretch that's under construction right now and around town on Loop 306 down to 87. And I know we don't have a graphic that shows that clearly. And that segment that runs between, yes, segment J, that I believe that runs between 67 and 277, might or might not ever be implemented, very honestly, but at least we have some traction on it. Nobody's crystal ball is perfect. And we will have, this will give us some traction to move forward with it if it becomes necessary in the future.
So if you'll look, the star that's kind of showing right there, and maybe John can zoom in on that a little bit, that is where it will tie in, and there will be some sort of an interchange with 277. So I hope that answers that question. There was a question from Rebecca. Any time frame to when development will start? To answer that question, again, right now we are in the schematic phase, or the feasibility stage. The next stage would be the schematic phase, and at that point we would narrow the corridor down. That is looking, I mean, that couldn't happen in the next year or two. It's a good 2 to 3 year process, and that's kind of a best case scenario.
And that's if we were able to start today.
And that's if we were able to start today. So that being said, we're in a holding pattern for now. This is the feasibility study. The schematics phase would then start, and that is when we would begin the next process and begin working with actually developing what the alignment would look like. So you had an additional question. We have land that is showing to be taken for the highway. How can we get a more detailed map to see exactly how the road will cut into our land? Again, this is a 1,000-foot swath, this maroon line, and so we are not taking 1,000 feet. We will, in the next phase of this, begin to narrow it down as to what it will look like. And at that point, as Becky Perkins, our environmental specialist, mentioned earlier, she will begin working with the landowners right away. We'll begin working with the landowners very early in that process to begin to coordinate that. So we don't have a map that shows exactly what it's going to look like in your land, on your property, but that happens kind of in the next stage. And like I said, we really work as a partner with you guys to make sure that we're taking your concerns into consideration. Did I get all the questions? Let me see. Okay, the proposed route goes directly through the center of our property, connecting to 277. When will we learn what parcels of land we will have remaining? Again, this doesn't happen until the next phase begins. No need to panic or get excited, whichever it is that you're feeling at the moment. Just yet, we are just at the feasibility stage. This isn't a 1,000-foot swath. We're taking the whole thing. We will narrow it down, and we will use engineering and common sense to kind of determine exactly where within that will fall. How close to the road will the road be to the transmission lines? I'll hand that back over to Rusty.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. So our proposed swath here, we are right adjacent to the basically that easement line. That's just the right-of-way swath we're looking at. In terms of distance from the roadway, that's yet to be determined. That'll be determined in the schematic phase. We tried to run it right along that actual easement line.
Rusty, can I get you to take the next question too? Could you follow Red Creek Road and not cut farmlands into parcels?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again, Randy?
Could you follow Red Creek Road and not cut farmlands into parcels?
Yeah, that's another option we did look at and some early alternatives. When you look at just number of parcels, there's less on the farmland side as opposed to an existing roadway. So that's something we did evaluate again in relative comparison. But that's an option we did look at along Red Creek Road.
These are really great questions. I'm really thankful that you guys are putting them out there and adding them to the chat box for sure.
Go back to show, while waiting for some more questions, some of the additional information you'll find on the public meeting website. These are some exhibit boards, federal NEPA delegation, how to stay informed, the purpose and need. Oh, looks like we have another question.
So the question is, what about existing water lines and how will they be affected?
Again, we will address this with more detail as we go into the schematic phase in design. Right now, it's just too broad of a swath of land and we don't have the exact details as to what the alignment will look like. Hello. The next question is, could you go on to the north side of the transmission lines? Again, I don't know if we have access to show on this particular plan the different alignments that were looked at, but that was also looked at as well. Like I said, we had several versions of this alignment that we vetted through, and I really encourage you guys to go on to the website, and you can download the different maps, and you can also download a copy of that matrix that kind of shows why certain things were picked, and how we ultimately came up to this preferred concept. Again, these things were all considered and looked at. I think you can see up here on the black, and I'll let somebody drive the mouse kind of along where it's traveling north of the transmission line. So it was considered as well. John, can you show them where to go? And even if the question pops up, we'll come back to it, but can you show them where to go to download these maps? And
Yes, sure can. I'll start back at the home page again. When you come to the home page, you'll see preferred concept. Click to learn more, and it will take you where you can click on a map to view the preliminary concepts, which shows all the preliminary concepts. By scrolling down, you can select a map that shows just the preferred concept, also as a PDF. And then last down at the bottom is where there's information on the interactive map. Again, by clicking on this image, it will take you over to this interactive map that we've been zooming in and out of, where you can look at it in greater detail. One things to comment on, we mentioned a few times during this event that you can leave a question or a comment actually on the map. Right up here are some different ways you can engage with the map, and the far right one is how you can add a comment. By clicking on that, it allows you to select this new feature, pick anywhere on the map, and when you click on it, it'll drop a pin and you're able to leave your name, email address, and then leave your comments. And then the project team, when it receives that, will be able to see exactly where along the corridor that you have your question. So I'm going to go back out to the virtual meeting website. So those are the different maps you're able to look at to help get information. I'm going to go back to the home page again, and this time click on Exhibits and Materials. And this is where you'll be able to find some of the additional information. But as Randy was mentioning, down toward the bottom is where you'll see the evaluation matrix, which provides greater detail on all the different alternatives that were looked at, as well as on the in the video that was discussed earlier. It showed information on future traffic, and you're able to look at that exhibit in greater detail as well.
And Sean Ray put the link in the chat, so if you want to copy that link, you're welcome to copy that link, and then you'll have immediate access to it.
So by all means, we are available after tonight's meeting. You're struggling to still get a hold of some of this information, or there's additional questions or additional comments that you'd like to make. And as a matter of fact, we encourage you to make those comments throughout the slide, and on that homepage, it shows different ways to get a hold of us. If you leave a message or send me an email and you need, a little more one-on-one discussion as to what you've seen tonight, or, how to get a hold of these exhibits and materials, feel free to contact me, and we'll go through it. This doesn't have to end just because we're done here talking tonight. We definitely want to get your feedback and monitor any questions and formally consider your questions that you have. John is showing you the comment form, so I'll turn it over to him so he can walk you through that.
In addition, we did show you earlier how you could leave a comment on the actual map, but if you decided you wanted to submit in a more formal way, on the Submit a Comment page of this website, you're able to click on this online form, type in your comments, add your contact information, and then click Submit, and that will generate an email that comes to the project team. In addition, farther down below, we do provide also a print version. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, which will bring it up, and you can download this document where you can type or write in your comments in the same way you would traditionally do at an in-person meeting. I'm going to go back to the meeting website again, and then it can either be emailed in or sent to this this mailing address to also submit your comments. And again, all comments are due by Friday, February 5th.
So we'll give you guys a couple more minutes in case there's any more questions that pop up on the chat. We'll kind of sit here quietly for a few minutes and just see if there's anything else that comes up. And then, just let us know.
No, not at this time.
All right, it doesn't appear that we're going to get any more questions tonight. Like I said, please feel free to go ahead and call the phone number and leave a message, or email me, or send in any questions or comments on those public comment forms. I'm going to pass this back to Wendy. She's going to wrap this meeting and give you one more look at how to get those comments into us. I really appreciate all of you for your participation. I am sorry that we're still not allowed to do these in person. We look forward to having these in person again sometime soon. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for braving the technological world out there to do this with us. We appreciate it.
Okay, so like Randy said, TxDOT is really interested in getting your comments on the project. So there's a few ways that you can comment, and I'm going to go over those with you. You can send written comments into Randy Shields at TxDOT via either her email at randy.shields@txdot.gov or at the address shown. In addition, you can go on to the webpage that John walked you through, and you can use that online comment form. Either you can input your comment and submit it directly there, or you can print it if you'd prefer and send it into TxDOT. On that website too, John showed you an interactive map that we have, and you can make your comments on the map as well. In addition, you can also call the number listed, which is 325-947-9202, and you can ask questions about the project and also get some answers. So those are the ways that you can comment, and we really appreciate your participation tonight. This is a really important project for your area, and we want to make sure we get the TxDOT wants to make sure that they get the public's input as they move forward in developing and evaluating the project. And I'll turn it back to you, Randy.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we will go ahead and close this up. Thank you for your participation.
Hey, Randy, just a quick comment. This is Rick Bacon. I wanted to let y'all know how much I appreciate y'all making every effort to get this out to the public through the process that we've had to go through. I know it's not the preferred method, but I know that you guys are making every effort to make sure that all the bases are covered. And I really appreciate the work that all the folks at TxDOT are doing. And thank you for hosting this, and appreciate all the work you guys are doing.
Well, we thank you as well for being supportive and showing up tonight. And we couldn't do this without the fabulous consultants with the Garver team.